Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes from our July 3rd meeting.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Next up is the presentation of accounts payable. Paula?
Mr. President, I'd like to recommend the claims from July 5th, 2023 through July 17th, 2023 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Next up, payroll.
Mr. President, I would also like to recommend the payroll dated July 7th, 2023 be approved without exception.
So moved.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Stewart?
Good morning. We have the last parcel for the Morehouse Road reconstruction phase 1. This is the roundabout at Calbur and Morehouse Road. We'll let later this fall for next year construction. This is the Realty Income Corporation parcel number 2. That's the gas station Village Pantry at the corner. First document is the settlement agreement and release, which is this parcel actually went to the court. We're removing it from eminent domain, and that's what the agreement is, going back to the original offer being accepted. The second document is a quick claim deed in the amount of $96,740, and the third and last, is a temporary easement grant in the amount of $10,880.
Okay. Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We approve the settlement agreement and release the quitclaim deed and the temporary easement grant for parcel 2 for the Morehouse project.
And I will second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Next up, we have contract to approve for the animal shelter.
Yeah, this is a contract with Mulhops for hollow metal frame doors and hardware in the amount of $232,392. With that, I'll make a motion. We approve that contract.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes. And then we have a host of contracts for services for youth services.
Morning.
Morning.
These are for our JDI grant, which begins July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. And these are for our typical services for teen court, the parent project, after-school tutoring, and our Policing the Teen Brain facilitators.
Okay. Can we do these in one motion? Okay. Mr. President, I'll make a motion that we approve these contractual services agreements for policing the teen brain, parenting the teen brain, parent project facilitators, teen court judges, and tutors.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
And some professional service agreements next up from the Health Department. Good morning, Dr. Loomis.
Good morning, gentlemen and ladies, and Doug. Oh, he's a lawyer. The service agreements are for people that we're going to put part-time, not really part-time, they're under contract for the syringe service program. Two of them are recovery counselors. The other contract, I believe, is for Mr. Steins. He's an attorney, but he's in the capacity of a public health master's student, and he has been putting together a 501c3 for Gateway to Hope, along with our other internal programs in the health department to help us be able to get donations, tax-free donations, because we do realize that there is a lot of geography from the heart to the wallet, and we need to overcome that geography by, getting people to donate. And we would have probably had close, according to Aubrey, at least $5,000 more in donations for the baby shower, and would have been able to expand even further if we had a 501c. So he is completing that work for us at a very reasonable rate. And the other is for Garrett Price, who is one of the top grad students at Purdue in public health, who is a data analyst and is going to be doing a lot of work for us in epidemiology and data gathering. So we have two for the SSP, Michelle Cox and Asia McKenzie, and then one for, and then two graduate students for the program for the from public school, School of Public Health from Purdue.
Okay. Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve the professional services agreement for Michelle Cox, Asia McKenzie, Garrett Price, and help me with his last name?
DeVivier Stein.
DeVivier Stein.
And I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Loomis. I don't see Deanna there, but we have just an updated contract for trash cans. Good morning.
Good morning. What I have there is a new contract. It's a contract for TK trash cans. We're going to switch trash providers effective October 1st. So that's just the new contract and agreement, and Doug's looked over it.
And it's $222.20 a month, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve the service agreement with trash cans.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion passes. Thank you, Deanna. Morning, Sharon.
Morning. I apologize for sending the script to you late. Friday was crazy. This morning, I'd like to ask permission to accept grants for the prosecutor's office. ICGI has awarded them $29,730.10 for their 2023-24 PSN continuation program.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we grant permission to accept as stated.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And the coroner received a grant to support the funding from the Bureau of Justice Assistance, as well as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, currently sharing data to supply the IDOH with reports from the Indiana Violent Death Reporting System cases, and the Tippecanoe County Department will receive $4,360 in equipment from the state-specific list. And the state did say that if there was some counties that didn't want their award, that it would open up to the other counties, so it's possible that we could receive more than that.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we grant permission to accept as stated.
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
And I have two MOUs I'd like for you to consider. The first MOU is with the Lafayette Police Department for the FY23 local JAG funding in the amount of $8,368, which is to be used to provide additional personnel, equipment, supplies, contractual support, training, technical assistance, or informational systems for criminal justice.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion, we approve that MOU with the Lafayette Police Department as stated.
And I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and motion passes.
And the prosecutor has an MOU with the High-Tech Crime Unit and the Indiana Prosecutor's Attorney Council in the grant amount of $30,000.
All right, so that,
Do you have that one as well?
Yeah, that's it.
that's it, okay. So is it a MOU or permission to apply?
They sent it to me as an MOU.
So they have applied and received it?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
And I think we asked for permission to accept it a couple of weeks ago, but I could be wrong. Would you like it in both places?
Well, only if we need that. I don't know. I mean, our policy states it has to be
Approved.
approved, and so I guess we'll need to clarify whether that has happened.
So would you like to go ahead and ask the permission first to accept the grant? And then have the MOU signed?
Well, if you have an MOU, it sounds
It sounds like it's already
been
been.
through that process, and it might be a little different with the prosecutor involved than with other county departments, but I guess my recommendation is if you're already at the MOU stage, you probably should just approve the MOU.
Okay.
Thank you, Doug.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve the MOU with the High-Tech Crime Unit.
And I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. We have reports on file from mail and duplicating, clerk of the courts, county public library, the treasurer, and the Wabash River Heritage Quarter Commission. All of those will be available in our office immediately following the meeting. Do we have any unfinished business? Hearing none, public comment?
Open public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Susan Schechter, and I live at 1001 Ferry Street in Lafayette. And I am here today to talk about some things that are going on in our world. The first week of July was the warmest week on record globally within our record-keeping history. And if you've been outside in the last couple months, you may have noticed when the sun goes down on some days, it's a brilliant red. Beautiful, isn't it? Those are days where we have air quality alerts. That means that people with asthma, older people, children should not go outside. We can expect for that to continue is what I'm hearing. Not every day, but I think there were 3 high alert days in the past 2 months and maybe 10 moderate alert days. Now, as a species, humans, we think we're pretty smart. And we've gotten out of some rough situations in the past. In the 1980s, I think you'll remember that there was an ozone hole over the Antarctica. And in Australia, children had to cover up at recess because the UV intensity was so high. Well, we all pulled together globally and we passed laws to limit ozone-depleting chemicals. And the ozone hole is healing. We did that on the basis of science and recommendations from experts. Now, another much smaller kerfuffle happened. You all remember Y2K. Planes were predicted to fall from the skies, and it was all based on our programming the year as just the last 2 numbers in the year. And so when we switched over to a new century, the fear was that the programs would stop working. But programmers worked extra hard during 1998 and 1999, and it was a nothing burger on the first day of this new century. Well, we have another situation that's more intractable, and there are more people who will lose on either side. That's climate change, and it's become politicized. But we're seeing the impacts. There's a third of the country has been under a heat dome that is pretty significant. We've escaped. It's been such a mild summer so far. I think it makes us a little unthinking of the misery that others are suffering. But there's opportunity, and we have great minds, we have great experts, and a great opportunity to solve this. There's an international group, it's the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, IPCC, and they've made recommendations that say we can keep our planet from, if we can keep our planet from warming over 1.5 degrees centigrade, which is slightly less than 3 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature scale we're accustomed to, then we can escape the worst of climate change. And to do that, we need to reduce our emissions by 50% in 2030. That's only 7 years away. We need to reduce our emissions completely by 2050. Now, you all have cooperated with Lafayette and West Lafayette and have in funding a climate planning commission, and that's forward thinking for Indiana. There are states there and municipalities that are way ahead of us, and this is an economic shift from fossil fuels to renewable energy that will allow my grandchildren to have a fighting chance. And I don't know about you, but I feel pretty strongly that we need to stand up and do what needs to be done for our grandchildren and hope that they have a future on this planet. So with that, I'm asking you, you've put out you're spending more money on this animal control facility. Is this built to be, this building that you're putting up right now, is this built to zero emission standards?
No, it's not.
Are there any features with that in mind?
It's being built in cooperation with both cities that, in a way that is, obviously to provide the lowest cost for ongoing operational cost. Yeah.
For ongoing operational costs.
Yeah.
And do you think ongoing operational costs would be higher or lower with energy saving features and?
Well, and it's going to be using state-of-the-art, energy saving.
Is there geothermal heating and hot water?
No, it is not. No.
Okay, I'll tell you what, that's one thing. So it's going to use gas to heat?
Yes, it is gas, and actually there's a component that's electric.
Okay. Well, I don't think we're real serious. Did the Climate Commission have they recommended that buildings going forward be best practices regarding energy usage?
Yeah, they recommend that everything be looked at, whether it be vehicles and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm. So we're putting up because there's opportunity costs here that we're missing. You know what opportunity costs means? When you have an opportunity to build something like the fairgrounds or this animal shelter, you take that and you say, we're going to we're going to spend what it takes to take advantage of an opportunity, because I'll tell you what, operational costs are going to be much, much lower. So I guess I'm just, it's like our leaders here in the county and the cities are not putting these pieces together. And you're not, I know you pride yourself in being good stewards and taking good care of business, but I don't see how that's consistent with building a building that will last for hopefully 50 years without these features that we need in place to make it. And maybe you don't think it's serious. Maybe you don't think that we're facing something that's super serious, because there are people dying because our climate is heating, and this is what we're doing. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to add to what Tom said earlier. It hasn't been that long since we cut a ribbon and opened up a place that we did take that into consideration with the new community corrections building and put up a huge solar array there. So we do continue to look for opportunities. It's a little bit tougher with that project. And I'm not saying that geothermal is impossible. My home of 28 years had a geothermal system. It was wonderful. In fact, so wonderful I had 2 systems when the first one broke. But we're dealing with some constraints with that project because of the layout of the land and the fact that we're sharing space with master gardeners, and we're reutilizing a building instead. There was a great deal of talk about knocking that building down and building a new one, and we said, wait, that doesn't make good sense from being the right thing to do or good economic sense. But we're limited on that side. So we are constantly looking at those opportunities. We've done lighting throughout county office buildings, and I'm sure we'll have additional solar opportunities. So we are tuned into this. You have to, the cost of this project, quite frankly, wasn't something that we could plan for 2 or 3 years ago. And it was kind of thrust on us, and it's going to be an enormous expense for us. So I don't want you to walk from the podium thinking that we're not doing anything, because that is certainly not the case.
Well, thank you. And I might add that there's lots of federal money that's becoming available, and you've got to be ready for it. You've got to be thinking ahead, because the window opens, you can submit your ideas, and then the window slams shut. So you have to be ready. You have to be thinking, what can we do? And have some intensity, because we need that. And we here in Tippecanoe County are blessed because we have great minds, and we need to be listening to them and say, where are our opportunities? And because we're then can be leaders for the rest of the counties in the state to show this is how you do it. This is how you get to net zero by 2050. This is how you get 50% reduction by 2030. We need to be leaders. We have the capacity.
Thank you, Susan. Entertain a motion to adjourn? That was public comment. Oh, go ahead.
Hi there. Trent Richter, 2327 Flowering Crab Drive, Lafayette, Indiana. I'm president of Lafayette Local 472 Professional Firefighters. I'm going to bring these invitations up here real quick. You can pass them on to fires. I appreciate that. This October, Lafayette Local 472 will be hosting its first Fire Ops 101 program in conjunction with the Lafayette Fire Department. We're also working with Local 5383, our newest local in Lafayette with Wabash Township Fire Department. Basically, what Fire Ops 101 is it's the opportunity for us to show local elected decision makers what we do at the fire department. I know you guys aren't ultimately responsible for our budgets or anything like that, but there are times that we come in and ask for stuff, and you guys sit in some very influential positions that when we have to, I know we've been in here several times over the past, especially with like lit that goes on to the county council, but you sit on these boards and we want to give you the opportunity to sit down and see what we do for the day. We're going to put you in gear. We're going to take you, we've got 4 scenarios. We'll do a medical scenario. We'll do a search and rescue. We're going to put you in our burn-over chamber, so your flashover chamber, so you can feel what the heat is that we go in on a daily basis, why we have to get extra gear. And we're going to put a car fire out, just some fun things we're going to do. So, but we wanted to publicly invite you guys to be there, and it's important that you guys see that, you know, when even the townships and stuff, and they come in and ask for extra funding for the equipment that gets newer, you know, hey, but you have this, why do you need this new stuff? Well, you know, do this stuff for a day and understand why holding a Jaws of Life and the new ones, you know, it's, you know, go from when I came on 25 years ago to the ones they have now. It's night and day. And we don't always have the funding, and so this is why we need to educate our elected officials, and that's why we wanted to invite you guys. On October 7th, we put it far enough out in advance so you get on your calendars, and hope to see you there, okay?
All right.
It's hands-on for us, is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
hands-on. You're going to get in, you're going to put a fire out, you're going to crawl through, and we'll put somebody in there, some dummies or something, to pull them out, and all kinds of stuff, so.
And do we need to RSVP?
Yeah, we will follow up with you.
Okay.
We'll give you a call. We'll make sure.
Okay.
And, because we'll have helmets for you and stuff like that you can keep, and some souvenirs, stuff like that. So,
Perfect.
okay?
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you very
All
much.
right. I'd just like to welcome Representative Ginda to our meeting today, so thank you for being here.
Okay. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.